Gojou Wakana is an orphan brought up by his grandfather, who is famous for making hina dolls. Inspired by his grandfather, Wakana wants to be a craftsman too, but he's scared of what people will think of his doll-making hobby, so he keeps it a secret. One morning, his grandfather criticizes him for being up late crafting dolls. Wakana admits he can only make doll clothes well, not the faces like his grandpa. His grandfather is concerned about his social life at school, which makes Wakana lie that everything's fine and he has friends. At school, Marin Kitagawa accidentally bumps into him, noticing ink on his arm. Nervous, Wakana pushes her hand away, making her leave. He overhears her talking with friends about being rejected by a guy who mocked her anime keychain. Wakana envies Marin's easygoing social life, where people accept her quirks. Later, Wakana ends up cleaning the classroom by himself to avoid social interaction. Marin comes in realizing he's doing all the work and tells him to speak up for himself. Her words stick with him for days. Meanwhile, he injures his fingers and his sewing machine breaks. The next day, using the school's sewing room, he has another awkward moment with Marin. When Marin comes in and sees Wakana's favorite hina doll, she compliments him on his talent, which makes him happy. It's the first time someone other than his grandfather has appreciated his work. However, Wakana is shocked when Marin starts to undress. She explains she's trying to cosplay but is struggling with making the costume. Wakana critiques her sewing skills but quickly apologizes. Marin isn't mad and asks him to help her with her cosplay project. Though it's his first time making full-size clothing, Wakana agrees, thrilled to meet someone who appreciates his passion. He hesitates when he learns Marin's chosen character, Shizuku, is from a dating sim game with explicit content. Initially, he thinks Marin is joking but realizes she's serious when she talks passionately about the character. Instead of judging her, he's glad to find someone with whom he can relate. They make plans to buy cosplay materials the next weekday. Meanwhile, Wakana's grandfather tells him they need to close the shop to buy a new sewing machine. Wakana, still processing the day's events, agrees. He is determined to help Marin fulfill her dream. The next day, Marin shows up at Wakana's house, too excited to wait any longer. Marin found Wakana's home address online and showed up, making him anxious, especially since his grandfather was not home yet. She brought cheesecakes and went straight to his room, a first for anyone other than his grandfather. They started taking Marin's body measurements for a costume. Though it was awkward, Wakana asked Marin to undress for accurate measurements. Marin reassured him by revealing she was wearing a swimsuit underneath. Wakana struggled with the measurements, especially for Marin's feet and bust, as he had no experience in measuring a woman before. While measuring her inseam, he accidentally touched her underwear, causing both of them to feel uneasy. Afterward, he asked Marin for more references on her character's costume, and she gave him 2 game volumes. As they finished, Wakana's grandfather came home excited about a new sewing machine. However, he was shocked to see Wakana seriously playing an explicit game, not knowing it was for costume research. His grandfather left the room puzzled. After a revealing dream about Marin, Wakana woke up feeling embarrassed and questioned his ability to face her at school. When they met in the hallway, Marin and her friends greeted him warmly. Wakana was happy that Marin treated him the same way in public. However, other students started making negative comments when they saw how close he and Marin were, increasing his social anxieties. After hearing negative comments from others, Wakana began avoiding Marin, fearing what people might think. When Marin confronted him, he confessed that he was worried people assumed they were dating. Marin teased him about it and invited him to go shopping for materials for her Shizuku costume. Wakana's expertise made the shopping process easy, but he hesitated when they needed to buy an expensive fabric. Marin solved the issue by offering her ATM card, telling him to buy whatever they needed. They went to a high-end wig shop next, where Wakana was amazed by the quality of the products. After selecting the right wig, Marin set an appointment at a salon for customization. Before making their last stop for stockings and garters, Marin noticed Wakana's embarrassment and teasing by showing him her garterized underwear, which made him audibly scold her. While having ramen, some adults misinterpreted their discussion about the explicit game, leaving them with shocked expressions. On their way home, Marin introduced Wakana to her favorite cosplayer, Juju. This made Wakana recall his own love for hina dolls as a child. He told Marin that he only uses the word beautiful when he truly means it, and she respected his honesty. While walking together, Marin noticed a stall selling meat rolls and decided to have one. She also apologized to Wakana for making him play her favorite game and for the other inconveniences she had caused him. Wakana refused an offer to share Marin's meat roll, making her think he found her greedy. Marin then mentioned that the event she wants to cosplay for is in 2 weeks. After parting ways, Wakana wondered if he could finish the costume in time, as it would be his first time making clothes for a person. Shortly after, Wakana's grandfather slipped and fell down the stairs, shocked by seeing women's stockings among Wakana's purchases. Wakana rushed him to the hospital and called his cousin Mayuri. The doctor suggested 2 weeks of rest, so Mayuri took their grandfather to her home. This incident shook Wakana, especially considering the upcoming exams and his responsibility for the family business. Despite this, he tried his best to make time for Marin's costume. After the last exam, Marin noticed Wakana was still preoccupied. As she was approached by a friend, Wakana suddenly left and rushed home. Marin followed him, bringing food, but found his home dark. Meanwhile, Wakana woke up in his cluttered room feeling overwhelmed. With his supportive grandfather away, he started to think he failed at everything. At that moment, Marin unexpectedly showed up. Despite feeling emotionally overwhelmed, Wakana pushes himself to finish Marin's costume, tearfully sewing away. The next day, he sends Marin a message to tell her the costume is done, but he needs to rest. When Marin sees the dress, she's thrilled but concerned about Wakana's exhaustion. She then confesses she wasn't planning to go to the upcoming cosplay event, giving Wakana relief and more time to tweak the outfit. This makes Marin feel guilty for not clarifying earlier and adding to Wakana's stress. Wakana comforts the tearful Marin and encourages her to try on the dress. They work together on hair and makeup to perfect Marin's look as Shizuku. When Marin finds some false eyelashes, she briefly thinks they're from Wakana's girlfriend, but he explains they're for his dolls. After final adjustments, Marin dons the costume and looks just like Shizuku. She's full of praise for Wakana's work and asks him to take photos. While taking pictures, Wakana realizes that Marin's personality differs from Shizuku's, but they eventually manage to capture the perfect shots. Marin then quickly sets up a cosplay account under the name Marin, posts her photos, and asks Wakana to come with her to a future cosplay event. When the day arrives, Marin is thrilled for her cosplay debut, surrounded by talented impersonators. Wakana, not accustomed to crowds, feels out of place and uneasy. Feeling overwhelmed at the crowded event, Wakana finds relief when Marin takes him to a quieter area. Their photographers start taking pictures of Marin, and Wakana feels proud watching her enjoy herself. However, he realizes they'll have no reason to meet again now that the costume is finished. Just then, Marin rushes over to say her costume is about to tear because she wore a bigger bra to emulate Shizuku, which doesn't align with the costume Wakana made. They retreat to a cooler spot where Wakana gives her coolant pads and towels. Though he feels awkward touching her skin, he manages to fix her costume. Returning to the event, Marin poses for a few final photos. One of them captures her undergarments in a wind gust, but Marin is more concerned about not looking at the camera. On the train ride home, Marin thanks Wakana and discusses future cosplay plans, making him smile. She notices and teases him. Wakana genuinely compliments her beauty as Shizuku, causing Marin to blush. At home, Marin offers to wash her costume while Wakana checks washing instructions from a manual. Marin can't stop thinking about Wakana's earlier words. Meanwhile, Mayuri is on her way to bring their grandfather home. When the old man sees Marin with Wakana, he raises his voice in surprise but later apologizes for misunderstanding. It's that Marin realizes she's fallen for Wakana. The atmosphere turns awkward when Marin's stomach growls, signaling hunger. During dinner, Wakana learns that Marin's mom has passed away and she lives alone, her dad working far away. Wakana's grandfather asks about Marin's usual meals, and she shows them a picture of convenience store food, amusing both men. The grandfather invites Marin for regular dinners, and Wakana drops her at the terminal after eating. On the train, Marin scolds herself for not being more composed around Wakana. The next day, Wakana's grandfather finds a wet young girl sheltering at their shop. Assuming she's Wakana's friend, he takes her in. However, Wakana worries she might be a scammer. When he opens the bathroom door, he accidentally sees her naked and quickly apologizes. The girl, Inui, turns out to be older than Wakana and reveals she came for a cosplay costume. Despite Wakana's refusal to take on costume commissions, Inui blackmails him with the bathroom incident. She reveals she's actually Juju, one of Marin's favorite cosplayers. Inui had spotted Marin at a cosplay event and discovered Wakana made her dress. Just then, Marin arrives and is shocked to see her favorite cosplayer. Inui wants to cosplay as Cheyenne from the Princess Lily anime, another of Marin's favorites. Though ready-made costumes exist online, none fit Inui well, so she wants Wakana to make it. After spending more time together, Inui confesses to herself that she likes Marin's cosplaying style. When she asks if Marin and Wakana are dating, Wakana quickly denies it. Wakana avoids more questions about dating, while Marin smiles shyly, confusing Inui. When Inui mentions renting a studio for cosplay photos, Marin gets excited and offers to split the costs if she and Wakana can join. Inui agrees, seeing the savings and potential quality improvement for her costume. Wakana decides to watch the anime to better understand Cheyenne's character. Marin offers to lend him her complete series DVDs. Wakana's grandfather praises his recent doll design and gives him permission to go to Marin's place to get the DVDs. Upon arriving, Marin, dressed in thin lingerie, makes Wakana blush. She invites him to watch episodes in her room, which is full of Shizuku photos. Marin is thrilled about their home date, but her growling stomach interrupts the moment. Wakana offers to cook, but Marin insists on doing it herself. She realizes she forgot her bread but shrugs it off. She makes omelette rice that looks unappetizing but tastes good. Wakana thinks it's just fried rice but compliments her spice use. After watching episodes, they plan Inui's costume. Wakana sends detailed information to Inui and learns from her how to change eye shapes using cosplay tape. Inui also suggests using a better camera for better skin tones. When she mentions her sister takes her photos, Wakana asks if her sister can teach him camera use. Upon meeting Shinju, Inui's sister, Wakana and Marin are surprised to find that Shinju, who they thought was a young kid, actually looks like an adult. Initially, Inui had no plans to be a famous cosplayer. It was Shinju who made her well-known by managing her online account. Shinju shares photography tips, but things get awkward when she turns down Marin's suggestion to try cosplaying herself. After seeing the price of a DSLR camera online, Wakana is shocked. Marin laughs and says she'll save up to buy one. The next day, they visit a studio set in an abandoned hospital. Marin and Shinju explore, unfazed by the creepy atmosphere, while Wakana comforts a scared Inui. Inui remembers her childhood dream of being a magical girl. She says her dream felt closer when she first wore a cosplay outfit. Wakana then learns that Inui admires his craftsmanship, which touches him and makes him think about how his grandfather must have felt about his shop's dolls. However, when Wakana touches Inui's hand as she faints. A day later, Marin invites Wakana to the beach. A bird steals Marin's burger and follows them for fries. Wakana tosses the food to the bird, which flies away. They finally settle down and Wakana gives Marin the rest of his burger. Marin plays in the sea but accidentally exposes her underwear. Realizing how uninhibited Marin is, Wakana joins her, saying it's his first time at beach. Wakana and Marin have fun playing in the chilly ocean water. Marin, noticing Wakana hasn't experienced much, invites him to spend the summer break together. Wakana happily agrees, making Marin blush. Marin takes a photo of Wakana, who is captivated by the sea view. After shopping, they return to Wakana's house, where Marin shows him her new swimsuit. Despite being used to Marin's carefree attitude, Wakana is still surprised. Marin also starts to show her bread but stops, realizing she's wearing a different one. Inui is amazed by the quality of the costume Wakana made for her and praises his work. Marin, also in her custom outfit, struggles to compliment Wakana as she doesn't know much about tailoring. Inui suggests better foundation colors for Marin, and Wakana uses tape to change her eye shape for the first time. Marin gets excited looking at herself dressed as an anime character named Lobelia, but her mood drops when the weather turns bad. Inui takes a picture with Marin, melting her heart. When Wakana and Shinju arrive, both Marin and Inui are taken aback by Shinju's mature appearance. Days earlier, Inui had fainted in the abandoned hospital and had to be hospitalized. Afterward, Shinju thinks about a conversation she had with Wakana, who made her want to try cosplaying. Although she dreams of cosplaying with her sister, she's too insecure. Wakana offers to make a costume for her desired character, Soma, from the same anime series as Shion and Lobelia. Knowing Shinju's only income is her allowance, Wakana promises to find a way to cover the costume costs. He even lends her his uniform, which looks like Soma's outfit. Shinju's large chest causes a problem as the uniform's buttons pop open. Wakana resews the buttons and considers using a sarashi wrap to flatten her chest. However, it doesn't work. He then finds an affordable chest flattener online. Wakana also measures Shinju's head for a wig but feels awkward when her chest bumps into him. When trimming the wig to match Soma's hair, Wakana hesitates, afraid to ruin their only wig. He recalls his time with Marin and realizes nobody is perfect. During a photo shoot, both Marin and Inui are impressed with Shinju's cosplay and take photos. Marin's perfect acting as Lobelia makes Inui blush but turns awkward when Marin can't hide her smile in front of her idol, Inui. After Inui's photos, she thanks Wakana for helping Shinju and admires his kindness. Next is Marin's turn, but her chest holder snaps due to Shinju's clumsy photography, causing a stir. Back home, Inui confronts Shinju about her insecurities and admits she's also insecure about Shinju's better figure. They both agree that collaborating with Wakana and Marin was fun, and something to look forward to. Marin, feeling jealous that Wakana spent time with Shinju, praises him for their perfect cosplay. Days later, Marin decides to cosplay as Veronica from an anime they watched. While the costume is easy for Wakana, the character's tan skin is a challenge. Marin shows up at Wakana's home, joking that she got a full-body tan. It turns out she just applied foundation. Sweating a lot, Marin decides to take a bath and teases Wakana when he offers her a spare shirt. She ends up wearing the shirt. Wakana is happy to see Marin relax in front of him. Marin shows off her new props for her Veronica cosplay, including fake teeth made by Wakana. She awkwardly tries to apply body oil, forgetting she has a chain on her feet, which leaves Wakana stunned. The next day, they go shopping for Wakana's clothes, but he's uncomfortable in the new styles. Marin buys matching shirts for both of them. On their way home, Wakana says he can't help with Marin's next cosplay because it's too revealing. Marin teases him, asking if he wants a photo of her in the outfit, making him blush. They go to a manga cafe where Wakana is uneasy due to the intimate setting. Marin shows him a manga character named Liz she wants to cosplay, but isn't sure she can pull off the look. While reading the manga, Wakana finds it hard to get costume details because the drawings aren't detailed. The next day, they go to a love hotel for a photo shoot. Wakana is embarrassed, especially when Marin teases him about taking a bath together. To pass the time, he turns on the TV, but is shocked to find erotic content, making him even more uneasy. Marin emerges in her completed outfit. She jokes around, even handing Wakana a free condom from the hotel as a financial charm. Wakana compliments the color of Marin's wig, which disappoints her as she hoped for a compliment on her overall look. They proceed to take photos. For the final shot, Marin is supposed to recreate a scene where Liz sings a lullaby. Wakana decides an angle from the male character's perspective would work best. He lies on the bed and asks Marin to sit on his stomach. Marin loves the result and is having a great time, which makes Wakana happy. Suddenly, a noise from the next room breaks the mood, making Wakana uncomfortable and prompting him to move Marin off his stomach. In a surprising turn of events, Marin accidentally throws her phone at the light switch, plunging the room into darkness. This nearly leads to an intimate moment between her and Wakana, but a call from the hotel's front desk interrupts them. Their time is up and they leave, feeling awkward. Wakana can't shake off the near miss even when he's back home making hina dolls. Wakana gets an urgent message from Marin and becomes worried, but it turns out she just needs help with her homework. While working on Marin's headdress, she complains about her dad canceling their festival plans. Wakana learns Marin works part-time as a model and is stunned by how different she looks in magazines. They take a break and watch a horror movie. Marin claims it's not scary, but acts bravely, while Wakana is fascinated by the ghost makeup. After the movie, Marin realizes she left her math notes at school. They retrieve them and Wakana invites her to dinner. Marin spots a pool and jumps in despite not knowing how to swim. Wakana rescues her. They share that they both have weaknesses. Marin can't swim, and Wakana struggles with crafting doll faces. As the sun sets, Marin texts that her homework is done and they can go to the festival. Marin arrives in a beautiful yukata, leaving Wakana blushing. They enjoy the festival food and atmosphere, especially when fireworks begin. Wakana reflects on how Marin changed his life, once a shy introvert. They share a light moment when Marin shows her blue-dyed tongue from eating food. Marin's feet start to hurt, so Wakana carries her on his back as they head home. Marin promises to wear comfortable shoes next year, hinting at more time together, which makes Wakana happy. The next academic year is about to start. Marin tries watching the sequel to the horror movie alone, but gets scared and calls Wakana for comfort. After Wakana falls asleep on the call, Marin whispers her feelings for him before hanging up.